everybody. It is Zip Mouth Motivation. Of course, y'all know today Tuesday. So we're here again on a Tuesday doing a podcast with a special guest, Regina.
Yep, you got it.
Regina. So, because I mess up people's names all the time. So we're here today with Regina, and we're gonna have a conversation about just life. She's an amazing lady. She has a lot of things going on. She's like a serial entrepreneur, which is amazing to me because I am a serial entrepreneur. So I got like 30 jobs. She got 35. So y'all just tune in, tap in, listen in. I'm trying to get it so that we can see the comments when people get on. All right, I think everything is good. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people kind of like the basics of what you do.
Cool. Hey, everybody. I'm Regina. I'm a mom of four, ages 2, 5, 12, and 17. I have been a nurse for 10 years, learned so much through that. I continue to learn, and it's helped to evolve me into some other things I've jumped into, including life coaching, where I use my experience from life, from my own coaching experiences that I've had for myself. As a nurse, I've learned so much to help me in this field. My husband and I, he's a traveling artist, and we also are in real estate. So got our first flip on the market. Y'all pray for me. Let's go ahead get that bought out. And uh, other than that, I feel like we got lots going on. I try to use my time to motivate folks and give back to my community, and I'm sure some other things will come up as we're talking. Oh, I'm a podcaster. That's new.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, yes, I
Mom
like
Switch Eve. Yeah,
tell
so.
them, tell them.
I always forget to add that because it's so new.
You know
So
what's so
how you
crazy?
doing? I'm a podcaster too.
My first thing, and I forget to tell people like, "Oh yeah, I be podcasting." Like when they find it, they be like, "You never said you be podcasting." I'm like, oh yeah, I be doing that too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But the first thing is though, like, okay, mom, 2, 5, 12, 17.
baby.
Girl, what's up with the gap? What's up?
You know what? The gap was really, to be honest, because I had my first two really young. I was a mom at 16. And then after my second, I'm like, you know what? It don't really make sense for me to keep having kids, and I'm not established in a lot of different areas. So we're a blended family. So I decided after my second one, and I, was single, that I would not have any more children until I was married. And so then that's what happened with the last two. They came right along.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So now I understand the gap. So hold on. You said you had your first child at 15, 16 years old,
16.
but you've been a nurse for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you went through nursing school while you had a little baby.
Yeah, actually, so I had my first in high school, and then I was in my nursing interview, like 9 months pregnant almost with my second one, praying to God they would be like, that stigma about pregnant folks. They don't want to hire you, they don't want to give you no chance. I'm like,
Right.
listen.
Right.
But it
Right. But
worked
I
out.
mean, just to go through school, I went through school with two little kids. I did my bachelor's degree with one little child, but I did my master's with two kids. And I promise you, I was like, y'all in school too. So what y'all gonna do? Like, what y'all, oh, you crying? Look, here go, you got some homework.
I'm telling you. I look back and it's like, how did you do that? Hell, I just did it. You said you was gonna do it and you just did it. So you know the vibe.
Right, right. It is what it is. Like you just move into that flow of things. Um, and you're coaching.
Yeah.
So what is your coaching about? I know what it's about, but I want you to tell the people
Yeah,
yourself.
sure. So the best way I like to explain life coaching, because as you know, when you talk to people about it, they're like, what? Most of them don't really know what it is. It's a very, even though in our space it seems very saturated because we're coaches, so we're around a lot of them, it's still very new to other people. And so the best way I like to explain it, because we all know what therapy is, I did that for years. And it's a time and place for that. But
Right,
therapy a lot of time focuses on the past, where I feel like coaching is more so future focused. Like
right.
I work with my clients. What do you want to accomplish? Or something you want to overcome now that you're going through? Help them to create something for themselves. Like that's where coaching is. And for me, I focus, like you as well, very much on mindset, because I feel like that's where everything starts. And so I work with my clients on whatever task that they have. And for me, it's more so not me as the expert, but me providing that safe space to ask those powerful questions to help them to really tune into what's already within, just maybe been
Right,
clouded, because we
right.
spend so much time looking out externally. So help
Mhm.
people to take a second for themselves in those sessions and our time together to look and see, how do I feel about this? Where do I want to go? What is blocking me here? So that's what I
Right.
do.
Right, that's major. So do you have a niche? Because I know like my niche is mindset, but it's also growth. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
it's like mindset and growth, but the growth mindset is my main thing.
Yeah, with your clients.
Yes.
Yeah. I focus, so I would say as far as the clients that I work with, we focus a lot on that because I think even when they come with something particular they think you're showing up with, it
Right.
usually always comes back down to mindset and what's
Right.
blocking them. As far as the type of people, I've thought about that. And since, I haven't been doing this for years, so I like to just work with any and everybody because I feel like everybody, no matter who they are, like we all have life problems. And I look at like
Yeah.
general life coaching, like you can work on 10 things at once if you want to.
True.
I think I may niche down eventually, but I'm enjoying just getting the experience of working on whatever.
That's good. I think like the first 2 years, like I kind of just enjoy getting the experience and like working with a lot of different people and meeting a lot of different people and learning from them. You know what I'm saying? Like just learning basically from them. I know I did a mindset course. So well, I have a mindset course. So I did a pilot. I had some people that I know get into this pilot. And so doing the course was amazing. I had everything all done, all the stuff was all prepared. It was the aftermath that I wasn't prepared for
Hmm.
because I didn't realize like putting all of my energy out there to them, but I was taking in their energy. So they were, elevating, but when they were elevating that energy that I was like taking it from them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it was the aftermath, and I was like, I'm never doing another course in my life.
Did you end up doing it again?
No, yeah, I ended up doing it again. It was just like the aftermath. It was kind of like everything that they were dealing with, I had to battle that thing now. You know what I'm saying? It
Yes.
was like an energy exchange, but it was good. I just learned that, wait a minute, when you're coaching people, you have to remember that you're exchanging energy. Yes,
So
they're
much.
opening up to you and you're talking to them and you're giving them that ability to grow and to move forward. But at the same time, everything that they just took off, you now have. So you have to,
Mhm.
have that time where you detox too.
Yes, that is so true too, because meeting with more than 2 to 3 people a day is too much. It's too much. I mean, you feel like you didn't ran a 10 mile, you know what I mean? Like by the end of the day, you're like, I don't want to see nobody, talk to nobody, do
I'm so glad you
nothing.
said that on live.
Yeah,
On this live,
that's very true.
on this podcast, live, on my. I'm glad you said that because I don't think people understand when I tell them like when they like, well, why you not answering the phone or why you not texting me back? And I tell them like, do y'all realize like I talk to at least 60 people a day, whether
Yeah.
it's through the telephone, text message, email, whether it's through a Facebook chat, whether I talk to a lot of people in a day. And sometimes I need to just like
Yes.
I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't care what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real, swear.
Like
I
I
swear.
don't know.
And I see myself as extroverted and I still feel like you can get overwhelmed. And I
Yeah.
that's funny because I had to really look at my calendar, especially doing so many different things and be like,
Mhm,
listen, these are the days I'm doing nothing. Like I'm not
mhm,
reaching out, I'm
mhm.
not doing no business. And that has really helped to revive me because
Right.
when you're doing entrepreneurship, like there is no clock in, clock out. You can work all day, all night. Like there's nobody there to tell you, hey, you're in overtime, you're doing too much. You gotta
Yes,
get off the clock.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And you think like people think working a job is hard. No, being an entrepreneur is hard because, like you said, there is no clock in, clock out. It's like you got to do it, or you gonna slack on this. Oh wait, this gonna be behind. Oh wait, you need to. It's just like it's always like something. It's always like, oh, I got to get this, and wait, I got to do. I don't think, and they like, man, my job hard. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Listen, the easiest thing I do is clock in as a nurse and clock out. I ain't gonna lie.
And I had a full time, like I have an 8 to 5 job that I work, and that's probably like the easiest thing. I'm like, oh, that job easy. I'm done with that. It's like when that's over and during the process of that happening, it's like,
Yeah.
no, this ain't it.
Yeah, because you're everything. You're planning everything.
Someone said to establish energetic boundaries. You definitely have to do that when you're
Mm.
coaching. Yeah, that's a
Yes, I love that.
100.
Yes, I never titled it that way. I love that.
Yes, and y'all excuse me if I say someone. Sometimes it shows names, and sometimes on my end it doesn't show names. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's me. Um, so another thing that we kind of talked about is the conscious parenting. Can you tell the people? That's my favorite topic, y'all.
Yeah.
So can you tell the people the difference between conscious parenting and traditional parenting, so that they understand when we're
Yeah.
talking about conscious parenting?
Oh, I never actually established a definition for myself.
Okay.
That's a good one. So, from my experience personally, traditional parenting is when I control.
Mhm.
Um, Okay, I'll say it this way. I parent out of fear. I feel like that's the biggest difference is in traditional parenting, you're parenting out of fear, and it's mostly fear of the unknown. We're raising our children out of fear, meaning what we do, especially behavior wise, whether it's discipline, punishment, whatever, is based on I need to do something to get you to be or do something to prevent something later on.
Mhm.
And that can be in all different kinds of contexts. Whereas conscious parenting, doesn't have that piece, you work very hard to eliminate that from how you're showing up with your kids. And so then you're able to see them as the full human being that they already are. I feel like also in traditional parenting, it's almost like it's my job to make you an XYZ person.
Right,
Whereas conscious parenting, you're more so just providing that nurturing environment for the beautiful human being that they already are.
right.
That's the best way I can explain the difference. It's night and day, really, at least from my experience.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah,
So you and I talked a little bit before the show, and I was telling you
yeah,
I was excited because I'm a conscious parent. You know what I'm saying? And I get a lot of like rip about what I do and how I parent my kids. But on the other hand, my kids are very well behaved, very well mannered. Not saying that other people's kids aren't. I'm just saying my kids
right.
are. But and they know like I get on them, you know what I'm saying? But I am a conscious parent. So how did you decide, or did you? But I've been a conscious parent since they were born.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
did you decide like this is for me?
Yeah. So actually, I want to also point out because this conversation actually came up last week with a lot of moms about like why we have the title parenting styles and there
Mhm.
shouldn't be, and all of this. And I think it's for me, I agree. Like I wish it could just be like we parent our kids, but
Right,
to me, it's very important to have that title because you're able to see the difference. There's a big difference in it and it needs to be labeled because like myself, I was a traditional parent and I would not have even known, oh, there's another way to do things if there wasn't like this other quote unquote style out there.
right,
And to answer your question, the reason I've always been a little different. I was raised traditionally 100%. The whoopings. Look, I didn't got a whoop with a stitcher cord, all the things. Actually, I don't think I had a whoop with a stitcher cord. Probably a switch. I'll say that. I
right.
ain't gonna put a stitcher cord on my
Definitely a switch.
I'm pretty sure it's that. But all the things, right? Now out of love, they was parenting with the tools they had. Um, but for me, I've always been a little different. I never liked to with my kids. I always like, oh, I don't want to do this. But again, I was parenting out of fear, so I felt I needed to because if I didn't, they weren't going to learn to be respectful. They weren't going to, know their boundaries and all the things.
Right.
Because that's kind of what I was taught. It transitioned for me though when my oldest reached like teenagehood. I say 12-ish because no longer did the threats, the physical punishments, taking stuff, all the things we do in a traditional mindset, no longer was that really working per se.
Right.
In a lot of ways it was, because I also want to point out, even if something's working, you don't really know what's happening underneath in their mind. Like, you
Mhm.
got kids that are super chill. Out of my 4 kids, I got a couple of them that'll probably be cool with it. They probably will stay under the radar, and a lot of times to protect ourselves as kids, we learn to, you learn to stay out the way. You learn to be quiet. You learn not to talk back. You learn all these things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be amazing human beings that thrive, right?
Right.
Um, but our relationship really started to suffer. He wasn't as close to me as he used to be. There was a lot of negativity going on. He just seemed very angry. And I remember us discussing, what's going on. It always came up that I was mean in some kind of way, mean or hurtful, or, and I'm like, damn, well, I am really showing up that way. And in my mind at the time, it's like, but this is for your better good.
Right,
Then also it's like, well, I'm gonna create this relationship with him now in hopes that he's some kind of person later. Whereas I don't know if later's coming, number one. And then two, like my relationship with him is not just gonna be better because he's an adult.
right, right,
So all those questions started to come up, and I'll also say it was a lot of pushback too. Like when I joined the conscious parenting communities and would ask questions, and a lot of them a couple of them that I was in, like I would. When I got really serious about it, I was posting shit in there every day. Like, listen, this is what I'm going through. This is like, give me all the help, like all the help.
right. What y'all got for me? What y'all got?
I'm like these people, these strangers knew my whole life story at this point.
Right.
I'm not
Sounds
like I had
normal.
no shames. I'm like, I gotta get this together. I didn't have anybody around me. But when that first started happening, like a lot of times I was very I gave a lot of pushback on. I gave a lot of excuses. I actually left some conscious parenting communities because I didn't
Right,
like people saying, so it wasn't an easy transition, is what I'm saying. But I knew like, man, I want to have a good relationship with my kids. And this ain't really helping
right.
right now. This don't seem like that's what it's gonna be.
Right, right, right. And I can understand that. I think that kids are individuals. I have one child I can handle one way, and then I have another child I have to handle him a completely different way. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like I have to handle them differently, even like in conversation, because I've never been like a real like I'm gonna tell you up, whooper person or nothing like that. Now I got told up when I was
That's so funny how that happens.
what?
I have
Oh, the
friends.
hair hanging too long? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's funny how that happens, like what you're saying,
but
you got whooped.
as I got older, I was like, and then I had kids. I was like, so like, do I really gotta whoop them? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this what I'm supposed to do? But
Yeah,
so and I get a lot of flack, from people like, well, you wasn't raised that way, and stuff like that or whatever. But at the same time, like I said, my kids are well behaved. I don't have any. They're not like bad children. They do things that kids do. They do things that teenagers do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But nothing too crazy as of yet. Not saying that they're gonna be perfect human beings when they get older. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And I think that people, when it comes to conscious and traditional, people feel like, well, if you're a conscious parent, you're judging someone that is not a conscious parent. I don't care if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking about the relationship that I want to have with my children. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that my relationship with my parents was bad, but it was kind of like I felt like I couldn't be me. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And so
absolutely,
in my home, you could be you, whatever, whoever you are, just be that person and allow me to see that. I guess my mind is kind of like I want to go through life with y'all until I can't go through life with you anymore. You understand what
yeah,
I'm saying? And so you have someone that's going to really guide you and like protect you and tell you like, hey, that's kind of crazy. Now, if you
mhm,
still do it, just know that was crazy. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
First
yeah,
thing. Second thing, I still love you, but then there may or may not be consequences to that, when you come
yeah.
back. But it's your choice at the same time to do whatever it is that you need to do. That's pretty much how I parent. Like I talk to them and we talk about a lot of stuff though. We talk about a lot of stuff.
You know what? And that's the what you said was really powerful about like you felt you couldn't be yourself. And I feel like these types of things need to be talked about more because I think anybody that's been traditionally parent, if they're being honest, can say that because and it's not really a rhyme or reason or like, oh, this we're not sure why. It's like if a child gets in trouble for doing certain things, especially at a younger age, like you learn to fabricate, right? You learn to code switch, like period. You know what I mean? Like that's just what you do because that's what your brain does. And I think that if we understood as a culture more about the brain development of just children. Like that was something, like I said, my son was a teen almost, and I knew nothing about. I didn't know that, oh, 4-year-old kids until like four-ish, five, like they don't even have the logical side of their brain turned on. So when we're out here whooping kids because they throwing a tantrum or they in trouble because they crying over spilled milk, something we feel is stupid. But if we understood like, oh damn, that's how they have to do and behave because that logical part is turned off, then we would, I think a lot of it's just like a lack of education. We don't really understand. So if you understood that and then you understand there's so much research around each stage, tweens and teens, and how they are actually, science shows their brain actually behaves in a lot of the same ways as toddlers do. And that's why they're impulsive. And, it just doesn't look like that because they're as big as we are,
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
That, and
Yeah. So,
I believe that's true. That's true. I
yeah.
honestly do. I 100% agree with that. And I think it was like when I sat back and really thought about Denise, I can see Denise's name. It says, and we pass down disciplines, and we do because we learn. Our parents learn from their
Yeah.
parents, and then we learn from our parents. And so
Yeah.
my kids may not parent the way that I parent because they're boys, so they may get involved with someone who is used to parenting traditionally. And
Sure.
I'm not saying that I just don't parent that way. I just
Yeah.
don't see a need to beat them all the time, scream at them, yell at them. You know what I'm saying? Like I just
Yeah.
don't need to do that when I could just talk to them. My
Yeah.
son is 15 years old right now. He probably I don't know. Somebody else probably whipped him, but I don't know. He's like one of the first grandkids, so he probably didn't get too many whippings.
Yeah. Right.
Son, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing, nothing. I
Yeah.
don't think he ever got a whooping, and he's 12. So, but they can talk to me. I can talk to them. When I'm upset, I'm like, this is what I feel and this is what I think. And then we can talk about it now or we can talk about it later. You know,
Yes.
I
Man.
prefer to talk about it later when I'm not upset anymore so we can have a good conversation about it. You know what
And
I'm
it
saying?
sounds like you're emotionally regulated. A lot of us is out here whooping our kids. We're not, and that I was one of those, and I'm still one. Like I still have to do the work. I apologize to my kids all the time. Like this is it's one of the most difficult things I've ever done because when you think about it, when you get mad at kids, right, and say they about to get a whooping, like you all emotionally unregulated. And it's as adults, like we're the only ones with a fully developed brain. We're supposed to have our shit together. And when we're
Mm,
lashing out at kids, hollering, yelling, going off, putting our hands on them, like that's actually us out of control. And typically our child is getting in trouble for not handling the same type of thing or not controlling themselves, but we're the only one with a fully developed brain. Their brain is still developing, so it's to be expected.
right. Denise said we definitely are breaking the cycle for real just by having this conversation.
Yeah.
Definitely, but I definitely don't want people to think like I judge people who raise their children traditionally because I don't. You raise your kids the way you want to raise your kids. That has nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
but this is the way I raise my children because it's easier for me. And I think that a big thing for me was like growing up is I always been this person I always been this person about slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right,
always
yes.
this person like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like I'm whooping my kids is the same thing that they did to us to control us and to place fear in us. I don't want to control my kids and place fear in them. You know what I'm saying? I want to love them. I want to nurture them. I want to be able to teach them. And I definitely want them to know that they are gifted, they are loved, they are cared about, they are respected, as people, not just
Yeah.
like you, my child, you got to do what I tell you to do. You are definitely my child and I love you. And I'm asking you to do this. And some
Yeah.
people are like, well, no, but then when they come around my kids, they're like, your kids they good. And guess
Yeah.
what? The little one never got a whooping before.
Right. And that's the thing
People
too. Like,
rarely got whoopings.
yeah, a lot of us, especially in Black culture, like if your kids don't get whooped, they're gonna be a mess. And I mean, also it's like looking at it that they're human beings. And
Mm,
actually, my 17-year-old, like I have, concerns and we talk about it and all that, but I'm not responsible for how he decides to be in this world. He's his own person. I set my boundaries,
yeah.
but if he go out here and do XYZ, that was of his own choice. Like my job is to make sure he's educated, as in
Mhm.
he knows right from wrong. Hey, if you do this, this can happen. You do this, that can happen. It's not for us. And that's where that controlling parenting comes in at, because because we've been taught like, and I feel like at a certain time, if you think about it, we whooped our kids at one point and it made a lot of sense. Like, I don't want the slave master to come in, do XYZ to you. So I'm gonna tear you up because I need to save your life. But we're no longer there. But we haven't understood that as a people. Like, whoa, we're still parenting from that mindset, and it's no longer the case anymore. It's just not.
Ex-
And I think too about what you said about judging. I definitely get that a lot. I've got a lot of pushback on that. I've got back and forth in groups and stuff when I'm sharing things, but I definitely agree it shouldn't be a judgment at all. But I think that every parent, no matter what it is, when it comes to vaccines, when it comes to food you give your children, when it comes to anything you're doing a parenting in your parenting space, you should be educated. And so we should know, like, why am I doing this? Where did this come from? What is it about me that I need this kind of behavior? Because a lot of it is inner child work. Things come up and we're triggered and we lashing out, and it's just so much when you do this parenting work. It's more so about me than it is about my kids every day.
And that I think that's big for you to say that, because that's what it is. I love when you said, like, a lot of it is us in the inner child work that we need to do with ourselves, that we put on our children. So now we have another generational issue in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah.
feel like I was angry in the inside because of this, and then now you're doing something that seems similar to that. Now I got to beat the mess out of you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I absolutely don't. And like a lot of times I feel for my younger son, my older son, because like at first I was thinking like, okay, well they telling me like I got to do this to you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of like, but no, I'm not. Like this is not what I want to do. So I feel like if I wouldn't have been the parent that I am now, we wouldn't be able to have the relationship that we do now. No, I'm not my kid's friend. I'm their parent. But at the
Mhm.
same time, they are individuals. They are who they are. If they walk out this door and they do something, I did not raise them like that. If they get into a relationship and they do something crazy, I did not raise them that way. That is just a choice that they decided to make in life. And I think as
Mhm.
parents, we take on all this stuff that we feel we have to control.
Yes.
We take on all this stuff, so then we become stressed out with our kids, and now we have kids that are being abused by parents, kids that are being unalived by parents, because
Yeah.
we are, like you said, that lack of education is big. Like
Yeah.
we are placing our kids are placing our life, however we want to say it. But in order for us to teach them, to love them, to show them, like I tell my kids, y'all can cook. They can cook a whole meal.
Mhm.
They know how to clean up. They know how to wash their own clothes. They
Yeah.
know how to do the things that they need to do. I talk to them about behaviors, how to treat people, just different things like that, how to be authentically you, no matter what space you in. People gonna talk about you. They gonna say, let them say whatever. Don't worry about it. Just keep being you.
Yes.
Love
Yeah.
yourself. Love other people. Of course, you got to watch out for snakes.
Yeah.
But it all encompassing around being a parent.
And
And
that's good you allow them to be themselves too, because I think too, like when we are parenting, like for example, like we want our kids to be XYZ. All of us are going to say, I want my kids to be confident. I want them to be able to say what their needs are. I want them to be able to express those fully. If there's an issue I want with someone, I want them to be able to have a good conversation like, hey, that happened. I don't like that you did that. Speak up for themselves and all that. But we forget, like, you don't just become that adult. That starts as a child being given the space to do that. And so, if and I know that firsthand because there's night and day with my older two and my younger two. Like my 5-year-old, like she is so hey, I don't like you did that, and she doesn't care who she's talking to because she's not. The fear has not been put in her to not be herself. That's like a normal thing for her. Whereas, I was talking to someone, a dad who didn't understand this concept, like you hitting your daughter because of whatever reason. But in 10 years, you're going to tell her she shouldn't date a man who hits her. She shouldn't date a boy who wants to put his hands on her. And then people, oh, there's a difference. Like the brain sees no difference in that. You might see a difference.
no, oh my goodness, you like hit it on the head. Like the brain sees, and I had to learn that. Like I had to learn that even in the conversation of how I talk to them, because like I was married and divorced before, so I'm not gonna say like it was all of him. You know what I'm saying? Because some of it was me in the way that I felt that you should talk to a man. But then
Right. Girl, yes.
I had to learn like that's not how you should talk to a man, and he shouldn't be able to talk to me this way.
Yeah.
But I talk to my sons, like this, because I want them to know how they should be respected by anybody they're in any kind of relationship with, because their first relationship, they're gonna base it off the relationship that I had with my mom.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, I mean, when they born, we're God to them. We're everything to them.
exactly.
I
So
mean, we are,
you talk to me, so you're gonna. I even tell them like I'm not your maid. I'm not gonna be cooking all your food and making your bed and washing your clothes, because even when you get a wife or a girlfriend, that's not her complete responsibility. You
Right.
have to help her. You have
Mhm.
to be in partnership with her and help her wash her clothes and cook you something to eat and cook you all something to eat. Don't
Yeah.
be thinking like, no, we in a partnership in here. They cooked me dinner last week. I'll cook them dinner this week.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you're
Yeah.
training them to see like how life is supposed to be. Like that
Yeah.
comes from all different kinds of things. My 12-year-old, whoo, that mouth, but I'm like, damn, she sounds just like me. I wonder where she get it from. You know, so then it's just that we are really just training them how it's supposed to be. And conscious parenting is one thing, but like you said, even with your spouse, like I had to learn that. Like I'm over here trying to be all conscious and I'm talking crazy. You know, I'm side necking and everything. It's like, now this is a conscious experience, Regina. You know?
Yes, it's a total, like when you start coaching and you say you're dealing with the mindset, like it's a total change of thought pattern. It's
Yes, yes.
and you have to unlearn and learn different things. Like people wonder, like, well, and they say that it's like, oh, well, you're doing something when you get quiet. Yeah, I'm working on me. Like
Yeah,
I'm really working on me. I'm working on the inner me because I seen something in me that I didn't like. And so
yes.
I'm working on changing that. Or I said something to someone that I didn't like, or I had an emotion come up that I
Mhm.
did not like, and I need to work on what that is so that
Yeah,
I don't feel the need to control people, but I allow people to be who they are and love
that's
them
the
still.
real
Like,
work right there.
that's it. Like if you did
Yeah,
something, you just did it. I can't control who you are. And it's not. A lot of people confuse that with me being nonchalant. I'm not nonchalant. I care, but I can't control you. I can only control me and control how I react to what you did. Because you're doing you, I'm doing me. So if
yeah,
I choose to react this way, then understand I chose that reaction. It wasn't because of what you did. I made the choice.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's where it's at because all of these things, how people act, what they do, what they say, whatever, they're all just circumstances. And to be able to be ourselves and be happy no matter what those circumstances are, like that's the real work right there for sure.
It is
Yeah.
definitely. So you do some other things. You have your podcast, Miss
Yeah.
Lady. So
Yeah.
what kind of conversations do you have on your podcast? I've been on your podcast, that's why I'm smiling. But yeah,
Yeah.
so what do you normally talk about, and how can people get on your show if they want to get on there?
Sure. So I would say mindset is the umbrella of the whole podcast. And it's called Moms Who Achieve. So it's all about motherhood in regards to mindset. I'm on episode 11. So up until now, it's been about mindset. It's been about our brains, been about our mind, subconscious mind, unconscious mind, how we create really our reality and just kind of go through those processes. But it'll be a lot about money, mindset, about motherhood, parenting, conscious parenting for sure, especially through the lens of a former traditional parent. I feel like that needs to be talked about more. Where I think in a perfect world, us being conscious parents from the beginning is where it needs to be. And we're moving towards that to where it becomes more of a cultural norm. But as many of us, like myself, that have traditionally parented, our kids' whole lives and have been able to successfully taken on conscious parenting and just doing that hard work every day, but it's not really being talked about. I think that there's a lot of shame once you move into conscious parenting. There's a lot of things I did in the past that I'm not proud of, but it needs to be talked about so that, oh, girl over there knows that she could be doing all the things and still be able to change her mind and change the relationship with her children. Like as long as you breathe and like you still have time. So it's about that. I'm going to be having some interviews with moms. I would love to have you on the show and just
Yeah,
about their experience of achievement. So achievement looks different for everybody. Going to be
mhm.
talking about that. Just healing hours so that we can all see like we're all in this together. Everybody has different experiences, but I feel like when people come on and they talk about their own experience, like there's something in there that everybody can take away from. And so a lot of my life coaching work is going to be there as well. I'll be having some coaching sessions with folks, and so it'll just be a little bit of everything to help us really just become the best versions of ourselves.
Yes, ma'am. I'm all about that. Definitely about that. So make sure when you posting your things, I can share them so
Yeah,
other people can listen to them too. Because I'm definitely all about mindset and us becoming the best version of us, especially in our community of people. Because if we could learn to be the best version of us, then we could get so much further in life
yes,
and focus on that. And
yeah.
you talked about real estate.
Yeah.
Basketball. Now, remember I said I thought I was a serial entrepreneur. People be like, you got like 7 jobs. Like when I run
Girl,
down everything that I be doing, they be like, what, and where you sleep at? And who be sleeping? Like,
right, right. Listen.
so you like a serial entrepreneur too, which was like, oh, this is cool. So what else? Like, how did you get into this real estate? Because that's something that I'm like trying to search into now too.
Yeah,
Like, I'm gonna start doing some real
right.
estate.
You know what? I feel like it us too, searching, searching. Like you'll be on that search forever. You gotta just jump in. Like that's really what it is. And we heard that, and we heard that. And my husband and I was like, let's save us up some coins. Let's get started this. So it's really just another stream of income so that we can kind of back. My husband has always been an entrepreneur, but eventually I want to step out of the W-2 space. And so it's a avenue for us to do that. Houses ain't going nowhere. You know, real estate ain't never going nowhere. So healthcare and real estate, you've got something in there, you're
Yeah.
all right. And so we decided to go ahead and jump in. We started with flipping, and we just finished our first flip. Everything that you can think of. Well, it probably could have been a little worse, but went wrong. And we was expecting that. It is what it is, a learning environment, and we're still here. We ain't outside yet, so we just learned from it. We plan to share about that. I plan to share about that on the podcast too, because a lot of people want to get into that because they know like this is a great avenue. So I'd say there's all different kinds of ways to get in, all kinds of, you can go down a rabbit hole, paralysis analysis. 10 years later, you're still researching.
There is
Find one avenue, jump in, get started, make your mistakes. But yeah,
not
we're cooking right now. We plan to have some Airbnbs and something to bring some money in while we're sleeping, for sure.
exactly. That's what I've been thinking too. I'm like, man, I think I should just go ahead and get into real estate. So I said,
Yeah.
let me just see. So maybe in 2024, I'll be ready to just go ahead and. But I kind of want to find a house that is like it just needs a lot of work to it, and then I want to build it all the way up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, like a full rehab.
Yeah, and then open it as like an Airbnb or something like that, something nice. So that's what I've been looking into lately. But I said 2024, I think I'm gonna be ready, and I think I'm gonna have some other stuff out of the way. I'm gonna leave some of these jobs alone. I don't know.
Right.
Like I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna relinquish it to somebody else.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
I'm
yeah,
cleaning them up right now to be able to do some of the stuff that I do. So then they're established, like they don't lose. They don't lose. They still can work in the same fashion that I work. So
yes.
I'm
I
just
think
waiting.
it's a good idea. Well, Bigger Pockets, I don't know if you know about them, but I feel like that's an amazing beginner space for anybody hopping into real estate. They got a website, they got several podcasts depending on what you're looking for.
Uh-huh.
That's a great, they know what they're talking about, regardless. And you can learn a lot there for real estate for sure.
Definitely. Well, I'm definitely gonna look into it. And then, other than that, what else do you do?
I think that, man, probably some other stuff I ain't thinking about.
I just messing with you because
Yeah,
I
I
know.
try to keep it simple though. I really, it sounds like I'm busy a lot, but I be chilling. I work at night, my little 3 nights as a nurse, and I
Right,
do what I love. I love nursing, but you're helping people, right? But you're helping people in such a small window. I want to, life coaching lets me do it in all avenues and in my own way.
right.
So yeah, I just getting outside as much as possible. Y'all know Black people go camping, so I wanted to say that too.
I
We
want to
be
go
camping.
camping. Like, I want to go camping. I want to go to Puerto Rico. Everybody like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I was like, so I'm gonna go camping by myself.
No, we there's a few Facebook groups or Black people that camp, like Black people camp too. Like it's hundreds of them that all you ain't got to go by yourself. I'm telling you, they
Okay.
going camping everywhere. I just want to throw that out there because that's another thing we've been doing. We went camping several times last month and last year, and we're setting up some Black camping weekend trips once a month all summer. So
That's
I
nice.
definitely relax. That's for sure.
That's nice. Yeah, I like camping. When I was young, my grandpa used to take us all the time. I mean, like he used to take us all the time camping in the camp,
Nice.
out there in the tents. And I want to give my kids that experience. Now I
Yeah.
don't know if they're really gonna go for it, but I'm gonna try it anyway.
I
Because
say no because my older two, I never had them outside like that, sleeping overnight and all that. We've always went to parks and that thing. So my 7-year-old is not a fan, but we made an agreement. Listen, you got all summer. Give me 1 or 2 weekends, and So he does that. My younger and actually though, they say they don't like it, but when they have somebody their age, like I've sat back and watched them have a really good time.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that's like my hope is
Yeah.
that I can take them out there and they could really like enjoy a little piece. Now they've been to cabins before, but that's different. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Going to cabins and going camping. So
Yeah.
cabins already they got everything in there. You got
Yeah.
pool table, jacuzzi tub, you know, you
Yeah.
got all that stuff. But
Yeah.
camping
It's different.
is a completely different atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
Now my younger two, I gotta drag them every time we about to leave. I gotta drag them. They love it.
definitely. Well, I like it. I like it. So if the people want to get in contact with you,
Yeah.
where can they find you?
For my podcast, Moms Who Achieve on Instagram and Facebook. And then my personal Instagram and Facebook is Regina Sloan. And you can email me at momswhoachieve@gmail.com.
All right. So y'all heard Miss Regina. Y'all can email her. Y'all can hop in her inbox, DM, whatever. Get in
Yep.
contact with her. And your podcast, where can they find your podcast?
I'm everywhere. Moms Who Achieve.
Okay, Moms Who Achieve podcast is everywhere. Thank you, Miss Regina, for being on the show. I really appreciate you. I love the conversation before
Yeah.
and after. We're gonna have to collab on some kind of mindset online, something
I would
together.
love it. Yeah.
So and I would definitely love to be on the podcast, but I
Yeah.
actually want you to come back to the podcast again. I'm gonna do a panel conversation, and I think you would be like a great fit for this panel conversation.
Yay. I would love it.
But as y'all know, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for all your support all the time, all the inboxes, DMs. When I'm not up here, y'all still be keeping me encouraged. So I appreciate it. We love y'all.
Yeah, hold up. Shout out to you for creating this space. I just want to say that on here. You know, you doing this. This is amazing. I really appreciate it. I know everybody listening will too.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. I really do appreciate that. I've been being appreciated all day. So I really appreciate that because people have been sending me like little recommendations and like
Yeah.
shout out to you, Marsha. We appreciate you. Because sometimes I be feeling like, am I just doing this for nothing? And not that I'm looking for recognition. It's just like, are people listening?
Right.
You
No,
know?
absolutely. You wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't, that's why you're doing it to help change lives, and you absolutely are with every episode.
I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Well, y'all, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all too. Good night, everybody.